You see, it's kind of nice. It's not always us versus them. It's really cool when warring tech factions stand together against lazy hack reviewer criticisms. We're entering the era of Apple intelligence. I can't say it. It's too dumb. Apple's trying to show their investors they aren't behind on this AI fad, and they're incorporating large language model features on all of their products. Well, not all of their products. There's a list of devices that will get these new features, and there's not a lot of legacy support for iPhones and iPads. A little shameless self-promotion here, I actually have an interview with some MediaTek executives about Gen AI, and they mention Apple, something, not enough RAM on the iPhone, cough cough. But this situation recalls a recent product launch for Google Gemini, and whether there would be support for Gemini on phones with less RAM. When Google originally announced that they would not be delivering Gemini features to the Pixel 8, of course everyone's reaction was completely reasonable and measured and well thought out. I'm absolutely lying. Google's commitments to software support were instantly called into question. It was a hack argument then, and I wanted to see if that argument had any legs now that Apple was doing something similar. So I threw myself to the wolves on Threads. Threads seems to be where I encounter the most vocal and antagonistic Apple fans. The folks who will unironically tell you to your face that it's not green bubble bullying when they choose to never message or include people in conversations or events based on what phone they own. So I set up a little bait thread. I just don't see how we can trust Apple to live up to their commitment of 5 years of software updates. The replies were pretty conclusive. Sean, for instance, delivered a handy little infographic of support, and a lot of Apple fans were similarly helpful. Andrew linking to a CNET article and broke down the differences between operating system updates and security patches. 10 over here wasn't as helpful, but also indicated that research was my main issue. I just needed to do more research. I had a number of confused replies, folks who just couldn't understand why anyone would ever question Apple's stated policies. And then, of course, the more antagonistic replies like Ren here. Yes, let them recall every phone and redesign all the logic boards to add AI capabilities to devices not designed with them in mind. Disappointing engagement bait. Or Sondarium. Then I suggest you ask Apple to offer 5G service on devices only compatible with 4G chips. A line of responses with some attitude that we should just be grateful for whatever Apple gives us. Like Iconic here, Apple literally supports their devices longer than anyone. iPhone 6s is going on 9 years of security updates. What more do you want? Max helpfully included that this was a dumb take. But on the whole, there was a pretty clear understanding that some devices have the hardware capabilities to run these new features, and many people were also correct that limited RAM probably impacted system performance when large language models need a lot more RAM. In many of these threads, though, we saw folks on older iPhone Pros who were frustrated they had purchased expensive phones who were now left out of Apple's newest initiative. Something MediaTek interview, cough cough, limited resources, planned obsolescence, etc. I could only find 3 people responding, and a couple of them are friends of mine who called me out on what I was doing here and got the reference. It's pretty clear from these interactions. One new feature from a manufacturer like Apple or Google does not constitute the entirety of the software support commitment. David kinda nails it here. There is running, and then there is running well. Quite a difference. And if it's supposed to be instant response and they can't get it working properly on older devices, then it's whatever. So yes, we can get Google Gemini or any other large language model running on a device with less resources, less RAM, but it doesn't mean it's going to run well. As I was saying at the end of last year, and if you missed these conversations or you were listening to other reviewers who were kind of making fun of phones like OnePlus putting on gigabytes and gigabytes more RAM, if you think AI is something you'll want to play with, you need to be shopping phones and tablets and computers with more RAM to unpack these models and not completely tank your system performance. If you really think AI is moving us forward in this new era of consumer electronics, buyer beware. you need the RAM. All of this was just a bit of fun. I hope no one's feelings were too hurt by my little stage performance here. I think it's pretty clear though. Attention and criticism seem to mostly flow in singular directions. Taking a hack argument, a hack talking point following the Gemini launch, and switching the brand name from Google to Apple seems to have completely shifted the tone of the replies, even though the underlying premise is nearly identical. I think it's important in our tech fandom to occasionally take a step back and realize our opinions are shaped by divisive algorithms and influencers who profit from ginning up outrage traffic. Google absolutely earned their terrible reputation for killing off products. The skepticism is totally valid, but they're not celebrated enough when they do fulfill their promises. Apple has a golden reputation for it just works, but they certainly aren't criticized enough when they leave a lot of their customers behind on new initiatives. And I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. Did the Apple fans get it right here? Can we separate an AI feature from an operating system update? I expect the tastiest of hot takes down in the comments below. As always, thanks so much for watching, sharing, subscribing to the channel. All the support has been amazing. I cannot thank the crew over on my Patreon enough. Patreon.com/SomeGadgetGuy. They're the folks who are helping keep the lights on here in the Gadget Lab. It's through their generosity that these videos and editorials and articles keep flowing. If you have the means, I would greatly appreciate you checking it out. Once more, patreon.com/SomeGadgetGuy. Now, you can find me across the rest of the internet at SomeGadgetGuy, pretty much everywhere, but these days, I'm spending more of my time on the Mastodons. I tried to do a similar experiment on Mastodon, and most people just laughed along with the joke. I keep trying to tell the hardcore nerds out there, but if you're really deep into the techie stuff, you should be on the Mastodons. And I'm spending a little less time on the Facebooks and the Instagrams, and definitely not on the Twitters. So I will catch you all on the next video.